project back in 2013, the very first Hulaween. They hired me to come paint the entrance wall out in the front of Spirit Lake. And at that time, it was 28 by 4 panels of plywood. Just
wondering if you guys had a second to talk about our Lord and Savior.
Thank you.
Thank you. So nice of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Magic.
So they had us come paint a big mural in the front. I brought out 2 other artists and we knocked it out in a couple of days, and that was like my first festival experience of like contributing. I'd come in as a live painter before, but like as an installation. And the next year they called me back, they wanted to do something similar, and they also asked me to hang up the wall from the year before. So that was when I realized that they were going to be saving these pieces of art and that I would have like allocated storage. And backing up the story a bit, my very first time in Suwannee, this is kombucha, just so we're clear about what this is. Like it's kind of like beer. So first time at Suwannee was at Purple Hatter's Ball, and I saw how beautiful this place was, and I saw all these artists that were painting and like contributing collectively, just even to the energy. And I had a vision for a mural maze, like where we all painted stuff that, and it was never really like a enclosed space in my mind, because that's a fire hazard and not safe with lots of people in this kind of environment with other trees, and it's also very hard to account for because of the landscape. So it was always going to be like these standalone pieces. In the first year when I painted that wall, we had done this border of rocks, and that framed out all of the individual artist pieces on that wall. And then the next year I did the same thing, and then the next year I saw how the pieces fit together and go right next to one another because of the rocks, so it made it really cohesive, and it made it easy to move around and like change pieces. So that's kind of where I cracked the code on like how this could grow as something that always works, no matter what piece was next to each other, what that was like.
My name is Elizabeth Grace. My partner Joshua and I run a conscious collective we call Ananda Embodied.
So by the third year, I took the first 2 walls and created 6 8 by 8 triangles that all faced in, so I made a big circle, and people could like walk in and around each of the triangles, and like to see everybody interacting with each piece at that level and like walking through it, spending time there, and like reflecting on the art. I saw the potential of this to be something huge, and I don't know how it's going to grow, but I feel so called to, like, not just for the patrons that got to see the art, but for all of the artists that got to step into that role of creating that art so quickly and like pushing themselves in that way. It was really, really happy. I'm gonna put this drink down. Guys, we're doing a guided tour.
And that's what human design is. So, who here is familiar with human design? A little bit? Okay, well, I'm going to give a very introductory course that should be simple for you to kind of get into the conversation of human design. So I'm not going to go into the deep, intricate mechanics and confuse you all in this limited environment, but I'm going to give you a baseline and a few tools that you can start to incorporate into your life right now. So I do have some materials to help out staying along with me, because I know self-serving out here. I know self-service out here isn't very good, and a lot of this is dependent on your personal chart.
I'm also the director of all of this and have many things going on. So.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So the journey here now starts at the 3rd year. We've got the pieces together. We're seeing how people are walking in and around, and the potential is endless at that point. But along the way of building out this collection, I've had to go through a series of like growth experiences with production and applying and like identifying what our needs are as artists, and then working with the administration to try to get to support this offering, you know, in a way. And that has presented so many challenges, and that's part of this like creation process. It's important to talk about because you guys don't know how this is paid for, right? You just show up and think, wow, they sold a lot of tickets, so they can afford a lot of really good art. And unfortunately, that's not really what's happening here. So to me, I was driven by that. I was passionate to say, like, yeah, we could do what they could afford, or we could find a way to do it bigger. Every single year, I found fundraising options outside of this festival scene and outside of their administration, so that instead of allowing 1 or 2 artists to come and do their thing with the minimal budget I had, I could bring 10 artists or 20 artists. And this year we brought 30 artists. So important to me to not allow money to hold me back from growing this collection. I've always wanted to just like this or better. Like, what do I want to do this year? I want to make 15 new spots for Mural Maze artists, and I want those guys to be compensated to at least cover their travel and supplies. Like, how can we level up to do more and more to where they feel like this is worth their time and effort and energy? And when I didn't have money to support the artists during the year, I supported them in the following ways. I preserve their art. I clear coat them every year so that they will can come back, and that they're like, a lot of times when you make art at a festival, you don't know what happens to it. Like, they take it, they throw it in storage, maybe they sell it. So for me to be able to guarantee that I'm gonna do my best to get it back, and that they'll continue to get recognition even if they're not featured artists again, that makes it worth it for them to come and contribute. And we'll continue to talk about the ways that we've supported the artists in here. If you're just joining us, I'm the director of the Mural Maze. My name is Ania, and I'm excited to walk you guys through here and tell you about some of the old pieces and new pieces and what this collection is meant to be. So we'll start here at the beginning. The way the pieces are configured is based on several factors. Number one is where it laid in the pile when we took it down. Right? So everything that you see here goes back onto a wood pallet and then into a big stack. Now we're in about 3 stacks. So like, we take them down and we try to keep them in the order that they're in. But those of us that have been doing this project really need to put these together. The rocks for each border help us bring in new builds and people that don't know this collection, because it's a lot easier to use as a key and like a map. Like, oh, this rock fits with this rock, you know? So it's that one, like, so even though a lot of the artists have kind of grown out of the rocks or like don't understand why it has to be a part of their piece, it's a key component in one, the branding of the Mural Maze. And like, when you see other murals around Spirit Lake, you know it's a Mural Maze because the rocks, you know? So it's a part of our signature thing, and it's also a part of our build plan that we need those as like a key. And because like they all have it, I've like asked them all to incorporate the rock some way. If you see some paintings that have no rocks, it's because they came from another festival and I brought them here. But the original collection all has rocks, and all the new ones also. So it's not in chronological order, right? It's like where it met, and like a lot of times I try to group the artists who've contributed for multiple years in the same spaces so that their pieces can kind of be around. It doesn't always work that way, but for the most part, it's really beautiful to get to still make those connections, even if they're not right next to each other. You're like, oh, I just recognize that style. I saw it around the corner, you know? Or I know this artist, and I want to bring my friends, and here's where they were in 2015, and here's where they are in 2023, and look how much their pieces grow, you know? So for the patrons that have become a part of this experience through getting to know the art, and then through the artists that get to watch those connections, like, it's a very symbiotic, powerful, mutual experience that's happening with these creators and all of you, that for me it's been really hard to quantify and to build that value. So me telling this story now on this camera is actually helping me to show people what we're doing here and document it in a way that other festivals might want to model this type of art program, and the investors outside of the festival scene might see the content that we're creating and capturing and how that can be valuable to artists around the world. So that's really always been my intent, and I feel like this year I've really leveled up to get closer to that goal. So I can't talk about every single piece, but we're gonna go through and brief on some of the really important ones. That's about the history. If you have any questions along the way, let me know. But
well, you're saying over the 10 years you have the same artist. Do they add to their paintings each year as they go along?
Great question. So I take about half of the same artists and half new ones, and it's really dependent on what you contributed the year before. A lot of these artists are willing to come in on my build team and help me in other ways. I don't need 5 murals from every artist. So like, for example, I have 3 guys that they've been here for 3 years in a row, and this year they all came on the build team and did 1 collab. And they were willing to work hard at something that, like, they're passionate about painting, but they're also skilled craftsmen, you know, and were willing to do that. Alicia's another example of an artist that came in as a structural artist that's also a painter. Like, these are people that have multiple skill sets, and they want to contribute to the scene wherever they're needed and make this vision happen. So those are the people I'm bringing back, right? Who's building value in what we're doing. And then for new artists, not a single artist in here is chosen based on how many Instagram followers they have. It's about your intent, why you're making art. and the impact I see making in your community. Those are the people that I need to lift up so they can be empowered to go back and continue doing that work.
That's cool.
But if you are able to do that,
So-
you'll be able to enter in your birth information.
This is one of my favorite artists, and that's been like such a blessing as a creator and a curator
The
to
most
get
common
to invite
typesetter
my
is
favorite
the generator.
people that I
So that's
again,
about
see in the
70% of the
community,
population.
painting messages.
So the
so
generators
valuable
are
as a whole,
the life
and
force.
like giving them a
You guys
large
are the
scale
ones who
platform
get
to do
it
that.
done.
So Nicole
Okay,
Lunch, all of these
you
were created in
have
3
a
days.
powerful
Every mural you see in the mural
energy
maze was
that
created
attracts
in 3
opportunities
days.
to you.
Wow.
So
you're kind of a magnet.
as a
for
collective of
opportunities.
artists, we're watching each other. We're out here 10 days
Now,
before the
each
festival
artist
starts. Our
has
builders are putting up all of our canvases.
when
So
they are
just to
living
give you
in
my
alignment
rundown of my
with
build,
their
and we'll walk and talk so you guys
with
can
their
get some other
authenticity.
images.
Okay, so the self theme when living in alignment for the generator is peace. If you're a generator who's living life the way you're supposed to, you're gonna feel really good. You're gonna be excited about the
2015
things
piece,
on your
and that's
to-do
really cool
list,
too to be
and
bringing
get
back
them
these
done.
old paintings
And
that
you're
have
gonna
stood
work,
the
work,
test
work,
of
work,
time,
work,
and they're not all in
and then
perfect
you're gonna
condition,
sleep like
but
a rock at
the
night.
energy
Okay?
is
So that's
just
really
as alive as
important
it
for
ever
them.
was, and like
If you are
each
not
piece feels
living
like
in
it comes out of
alignment
that
with your
storage
high
pile,
self,
and
you're
then like
going to be frustrated.
when it's put up,
Things are
and
just gonna be a
the
little
synchronicities start to show. Like we didn't plan to put 2 tigers here, right? So this tiger came out of the stack, and then this tiger ended up out of the stack.
Wow.
The strategy for the generator is to
Like looking at each
So the generators
That
all have a
blows
defined
me
staple set.
away,
And again,
actually,
we
how,
will go
like,
into detail as we proceed. But the staple center
secretive to me how the universe has crafted this collection in a way that I could have never done it better myself. I'm actually truly humbled by the entire experience. It's very intense to be a part of and to facilitate so many moving parts that like got us all here. But then this magic happens where we all, in such a short period of time, collectively are putting the pieces together like a puzzle. Like there's not room to lay them all out on the ground out here. You can't leave them out for a long time. So we're putting the pieces together, and then it has to go up and get moved, and it just kind of gets in where it fits in. And then it's so intentional and clear that you're like, whoa, we were a part of this. Something bigger than us happened here, you know. And I think every installation is experiencing that in a variety of ways. But like with this collection specifically, because it's such a massive undertaking, you know, there's 15,000 square feet of painting, and that's like
it allows them to
like to see it go from the pile in a box, so small and cute, to like this massive thing for everyone. Yeah, you guys are feeling it as you're here, and then to be able to provide it is kind of insane. So, all right, we'll keep it moving.
Their self-theme is peace.
So we'll talk about a couple of the pieces here. This is Jack Henry art. Again, artists that are out there using their community, wanting to paint images to bring awareness to people's voices that might not be as strong right now, you know, and that need that representation. And I'm so grateful for that intent on behalf of these creators. We could be painting anything out here. Some people, you know, art for art's sake is really cool, but that's not what this is about. Musicians get all weekend in 3-hour sets. We get one set in, you know, a couple of hours. We get all weekend in 15,000 square feet to say our message. So to me, it's very important of what your intent is and why you're doing that. So I don't care how the message is delivered, it's about why it's delivered. You know, so when I work with artists who like, I know that everyone that spends time with these pieces is going to be focused and present, and that's going to make them feel good. Or I want to show her shining light in her voice and have people, you know, just spend time with different cultures through art, for example. Like, again, yes, that's the goal I have, and I want to see that executed through artists, you know, on this large scale. So we'll move on to this piece. Here's an example of a unique scenario. This is Gavinger. He's a longtime mural maze artist. All of his pieces are like on this pinwheel, so you can walk around it and see the art. And this one started in Secret Dreams. It went all the way to Burning Man, and he kept working on it. And then we brought it back to Hulaween this year and finished it. So you kind of get like the Burning Man vibes onto Hulaween. Like it's telling this incredible story. And again, just an artist that's come back year after year to share their special gift with us, and to watch them grow through their art is really beautiful progression.
And you can find his art through MI Culture.
I think we'll have to of my paintings with Logan Malden. Logan is an incredible artist, and that's the other thing about the Mural Maze. A lot of collaborations happen here because you're going to do tons of studio paintings by yourself. But this opportunity to do with other artists you're not going to see a lot and get on a canvas and let your ego down and bear through the elements and like make it happen is a drive that pushes creativity to a new level, and images are coming out that none of us could have done on our own, and you really surprise yourself like emotionally, physically, creatively through a collaboration. Like it breaks you, right? Because you have to let go of how you want it to be, and that can be reflected in our own life experiences in so many different ways, right? So I love to see that happening here in the Mural Maze through collaborations like this one. But we're moving around, we're coming into, this is a Drake Arnold piece. Drake is a long time Mural Maze artist. Comes back year after year. His family is like one of the most humble, just joyful people if you don't know him. Just spending any amount of time around an artist like this that's willing to give of their knowledge and their talent and support the community this way. It's like what keeps us all going, you know, to know that we've got each other's back. So Drake couldn't be with us this year. Instead, he donated several designs that we made merch with, gave a bunch of merch that he could sell to help fundraise. When I asked him if he'd be in our coloring book, and I was happy to give my fee. He wanted nothing. He just wanted to see this happen. So even though he's not present at Hulaween, I'm really proud to put his collection on.
That's cool.
Alright, I want to walk back through and do a lap here because there's a really important piece to be seen. Alright, quick stop. Dylan did this last year. This is the first year in the Mural Maze that we've had a light on every single piece, and that's because lighting for something like this has been really difficult. They used to do it from the trees and you just couldn't hit every surface, and they didn't like have the budget to allocate for individual lights. So to come 10 years and have lights on every piece allowed me to honor the ones that never got lit up. And this is an example of that. This piece was in the dark last year. It was epic, but no one really saw it. And the artists that spent so much time working on it never felt complete. Like their piece didn't mean as much as the others, you know? So I got to give back to every single one of those people, and even the ones that aren't here, I'm like, your mural is lit up and the world loves it. We're so grateful that you came here and did the thing. So he actually touched this one up, and I had never seen the brush in the smoke last year, and he like brought it out. So that extra layer on coming back to this piece, it's a whole new meaning to those of us who have seen it before. It's featured, like last night the lake was blue, and it looked like this whole thing, like completely sober, y'all, was one of the most intense, beautiful experiences I've ever seen through art and nature, and it felt amazing. Like, I feel like I'm having this experience for all of the artists too, and I walk through here because I want to see every second of this thing up and what it's doing, you know, and I get to take in that feedback for them and like just keep it back going through the community. And I know that when I see them having that experience, even if it's not with their own piece, they're watching patrons look at the other artist stuff and they know it's happening with them too. You know what I'm saying? This is like, again, a very mutually powerful, beneficial thing happening between all of the creators and the people in the scene.
That's cool.
But essentially, we're like so going into the energy center,
she was just here, but
it's just like a little guy down here.
I hope she gets to hear this reflection because I could not be more proud of this artist. And I met her in the scene just for my own live painting gigs. I see this artist that always was there, always set up her stuff, always worked hard, always worked on her piece. And was like, cool, this is someone else who's passionate about doing this for a living. And then she started finding out about my events and would just always ask if she could help in any way. Never like, can I just come paint? Or like, she's like, literally, if you need anything, I'll be there to help you. And it started with her like helping me organize my painting stuff after an event and like going through my shit to get her jumping on the back end and helping from start to finish with this project and another huge project I did earlier in the year. So point being that she jumped in that administrative seat to be able to make sure that we all had credentials to get here, that the forms were filled out properly, that meal ticket credentials were assigned, that the people had their parking passes. That when artists wrote in questions, she collected all my mock-ups. She got all my W-9s. Like, there's so much that goes into executing this for 68 people. It's insane. And if I didn't have artists or just people, like what makes it even more special that she's a creator is that she has the perspective that we need to like get those needs met, but she has the like willingness and ability to separate that, to hold the space that also has to be filled outside of creating, you know, and a lot of artists can't do that. And the fact that she could and gave so much to be here, and then brought it with this fire piece, like literally was filling out forms on the way here in the car on the computer to getting here to help me set up, and then finally her canvas is ready, to spending every waking hour that was available to her to put out her best piece I've ever seen. And to watch everyone else like see this and her get to be a fan favorite this year, like she put out a banger that everyone loves. I'm just so grateful and proud of her. I love that I get to tell you guys these things. Okay, let's keep it moving. We're back. Alright. So this is a really fun walk we're about to do. I'm going to tell you about the Swartz brothers. Anybody know David and John, the Swartz brothers?
Nope.
Okay. You see, they've got a These guys have been in the Mural Maze since 2015, and just another like situation that has humbled us all of two family members, two brothers that make art together. They represent their art under the same name, Swartz Brothers, without any ego over who did what. They're both individual painters that paint some of them separately, but still brand it as this one thing for the sake of their business, but then also support each other in their own individual work. And I brought them on a lot of projects, and it's interesting to see how they work together. So like, this is a little Hall of Fame, kind of some of their pieces from over the years. John did the monkey on the left, and then David did the monkey on the right. So like, when you see their together pieces, and you see John's just like organic, raw, like emotion, and then you see the like composure and the cleanliness, and then the combination of those two in their collabs, it's so special and it's really cool that that happens between brothers. So quick turnaround to this one right here. This is one of their oldest pieces in the Mural Maze, and I bring it back every year no matter the condition because it's been such a fan favorite, and the joy of seeing their growth. This is an example of their 2015 painting, and then 2021, 2022, and then this year they did the pandas in the live painting pavilion over there. So again, that progression of like, first they were all mostly brush paint, there's almost no spray paint in it, to now David painting full-on epic murals in just spray paint in a matter of like 5 years. So the Mural Maze has been a platform for artists to push themselves to see their potential through these large-scale pieces, and then they take that back home and they hone their craft. The next thing you know, they're like amazing, like mural artists doing stuff that I didn't ever expect. It's really beautiful. So these are their tigers. John did the right tiger, and David did the left. Again, with that like fiery energy and the organic back into the clean, just like balance of them both. I highly recommend you go check out their booth that's here, because then you'll see those mixed together pieces and kind of which one did John do, which one did, and like cool that that's like not important to them, but that we get to see that and have that experience. So we'll keep it moving. All right, this is an interesting situation here. This artist's name is Sebastian Coolidge, and Sebastian lives, I'm from Tampa, and the St. Pete area, so this is someone that I was familiar with just from my community. You guys are welcome to join our tour. I'm the Mural Maze director, and I'm excited to just tell you guys about some of the pieces. Right now we're talking about Sebastian Coolidge, and this is his first year in the Mural Maze. So this is an artist that I'd seen online from my community. He's definitely pretty well known in my area, and I didn't know anything about him, but I ran into him at this like a friend of mine's birthday party, and I was like, hey, I think your art would be a really cool addition to the Mural Maze. Like, we don't have anything like this. And through the process of like onboarding him into this program, I realized that Sebastian is a total jokester. Like, you never know when he's joking or like pranking, like to the point of it could drive you insane. And it's so awesome that like his true self is just this like funny, eccentric jokester, you know? And to see that come through in his art, it makes perfect sense. And for us to get to know each creator through these paintings, you know, and to get to put that with that personality type is really awesome. As an artist in this community that's getting to work alongside someone of his notoriety, it's inspiring. Like, I'm in the mural maze with Sebastian, you know, and like the other artists are driven by that opportunity as well. So I'm grateful for the artists that maybe like growing out of these kinds of festival experiences, they're willing to come back and hold that space for the other artists as inspiration, and also to give us something new and different. And that's definitely what Sebastian did this year. So let's rock it around. No. Oh, perfect. Bring it on back. Yeah, I don't know. Okay. So we're a little bit loud. Okay. So I told you guys each year we try to bring new artists, and I wanted to work with artists that I'll walk back around people for you, that are showing that they have the drive and the intent to level up. Like, not just artists that want to come here and have fun, not just artists that have a bunch of Instagram followers and feel entitled to those opportunities, but the ones that I know are going to paint until the sun comes up. They want to put out the best piece in 3 days that they've ever done in their lives. And Matt Shot is one of those people. Shot in the heart. I saw this, hey Chris, at a smaller festival that I do, and like that's sometimes how I qualify artists, or like give them one opportunity to see if they're ready for Hulaween, because this is no joke out here. And I didn't, like when they apply, sometimes they'll be like, oh, I'm applying for the mural maze, but they only have pictures of like the little canvases that they've done. And I can't judge if you're able to paint a large scale mural in 3 days off of a little 12 by 12 canvas you did. So I might bring you out to a smaller event with a smaller wall and like see how it goes. And that was just one of those that came to that event, did his whole piece, worked as hard as he could to render the best image, and talked to every person that came up, spent time at the art. Like, I just saw that drive and passion that I want to cultivate in other artists, so I brought him in the mural maze. And he came and he's like, do I get to pick my own spot? And I was like, go ahead, Matt, where's your canvas going to be? And he comes to the lake, and I just saw this moment happen of like, okay, this is it. And then he pushed out in color and in energy this amazing piece that can be seen from across the lake. It's absolutely stunning with the lighting that we have. And to know what it took him to get there and to have helped facilitate that in himself, I see a new person already. Like on the other side of that, the confidence and the joy and the self-worth that has come from these opportunities for every artist in here is magnified when they go home and they take on new challenges and they're confident in themselves. So again, it is my honor to be able to provide that for other creatives, as I know this platform has for me. So,
Even though on your fine screen, you
we're coming back in this way. I think she said started. We're gonna funnel in. I am so pleased to present you one of the 2023 fan favorites. This piece is an epic collaboration between 3 mural maze, I'm gonna call them legends, guys, because they're the artists that started in this program as our assistants. They came in as volunteers. I'm an artist, I wanna learn the ropes, I'll do whatever it takes, I'll fill your coffee, I'll move your paint, I'll walk, do whatever. And they sure did those first couple years. And Kevin is one of them. He was one of my first that I brought in, that I taught him how to paint the rocks, and every year he would go around with each piece to me and help me get that side done. And sometimes those volunteers, even though they might have had a dedicated space to create, they could not start that until all their work was done. So during those years of having to get in on that ground level, they showed me that they were willing to do whatever it took to support all of the other creators and get their own work done. So I brought them back again the next year, and they all got their own walls. This is one of Kevin's walls. They have several of their individual pieces. But again, in order for me to keep providing this opportunity to some of the same people, they might have to contribute in different ways so we can diversify the art. So this year, all three came in on my build team. They grinded for the whole week before this stuff was started, building every other wall for all of the artists here. And then finally, when there was 3 days before show, they got to hit their piece and they crushed it. And all of them is like individual creators, like to put down their own ego and say that we're gonna come together as a team and we're gonna maximize all of our strengths and we're gonna create one image that represents us all. That's a lesson to each one of us of how to get through life with other people, right? That you're gonna do a lot of things on your own that you can control and that are gonna be yours. But when you collaborate and allow other ideas to come through and you accept that this opportunity isn't yours or mine, but it's everybody's, then something way bigger than all of us has the ability to shine and manifest, and that's what happened in a painting like this. It's really special. So just pivot with me. We're gonna turn around right here and take a pit stop. Right? Yeah, right here. It's a really good corner to like go through all these pieces really quick. We'll actually start here. This was painted last year by an artist named Stella, and as I mentioned before, many times I've connected with these artists over the years and I see what they're doing in their community. I'm seeing how they're leveling up and I want to provide them the opportunity in the mural maze to express that. She had never painted a large scale piece more or less in 3 days. So leading up to this last year, she's calling me every day like, Ania, I don't know. Did you see my mock-up? Do you think I'll be able to do it? And I, encouraged her, but I knew that she'd have to get here and just get on this wall. And it was a grind. For a brush painter, not competing, but working amongst all these fast spray paint artists and comparing yourself to that every step of the way, like, okay, I'm like only on this little section and they're halfway done, but to just see it through and then to triumph with such an amazing outcome, like, again, that kind of self-confidence can only come from finding the belief in yourself, executing it, and then having this physical evidence of what you're truly capable of. So I'm now proud of her to be like considering herself a mural artist now and seeing that she can do it. And yeah, she crushed it. It looks amazing in the light. This one here is by an artist named Nico. You'll see several pieces throughout the mural maze from her. She was one of my favorite artists that I've watched in my community create opportunities for other creatives. So she directs a mural wall for all women called Few and Far, and we all go out to Miami and women come from all over the world and we paint these massive murals in the streets that are usually dominated by a very strong masculine graffiti-like culture that's been there forever. So like for her to have such a strong voice and an absolutely incredible, beautiful talent and to want to leverage that to create opportunities that we all can create, it's been so wonderful. Like you could have a gift and it could just be like, well, I'm great and I'm going to keep being good and that's awesome. But instead she said, I'm going to take this job because I actually am great and I'm going to bring in a bunch of other great people that need to realize their potential and I'm not going to do it unless you let us all come. And that's what we're all kind of doing here. I feel like I've done the same thing here. Like we're going to do it, but everybody needs to be lifted up in a way that can ripple out to this entire artist community. So Nico was not feeling well before she got here. She drove all the way from Miami. She painted this in one day and drove all the way home. And it meant so much to me that she cared enough throughout the festival experience or even to get to hear our reflections of her piece and be here with us that she wanted to leave that energy. So Nico, I'm so grateful. You guys will back up this way. We're going to take a look at this piece here. And I'll switch with you actually. So these guys are from Tampa. It's a couple that collabed. It's Tony, also known as Il Sol, and Hannah. And last year was Hannah's very first year painting, or in the mural maze. Both of them was her first time. And she had never painted murals. And the way that I knew them was they're artists that live in Tampa, Florida, that are working with the city to produce large-scale mural festivals in our community with high-rise buildings and places that are just being established, that are ultimately taking out some of those art scenes. And these guys are trying to restore that. And similar, like we've teamed up to be able to bring that educational component to these opportunities of like, this isn't just hire some artists and paint some walls. This is let's build an art program that's going to empower them with education and the tools they need. And that painting of the wall is their hands-on experience to like apply what it is that they want. And that's a much different approach. And I love that other leaders in my community and elsewhere are doing that. So I brought it to the house. welcome you to the Andrew Wagner Hall of Fame. Oh, this is a good one. This is a good one. Andrew joined me in the Mural Maze in 2015. I had looked up to this artist as a fellow live painter who has been out in Suwannee for over 10 years. We would do these collective galleries and he would always help us build them. So he was like the OG artist that knew what he was doing and then saw all of us trying to learn. So he would structurally create these spaces that we could sell our art, and like that's how I met him. I knew he could build stuff and I knew he was a great artist. So when I started to configure the pieces in the Mural Maze as an actual interactive immersive experience, I called him and asked him to help me come up with a layout that we could continue to adjust every year and build on and keep adding pieces. So Andrew designed the triangles we did in 2015, and then the next year he designed these pinwheel pieces that you see that have 3 murals on every side, and these 8x12s are standalone, and the way that they're balanced means they don't have to be structured like into the ground as compared to the longer ones that are braced to the trees. Look at the top right here. Like, if this matters, yeah, Chris. So, well, and like why that matters is because I don't know what the layout's going to be. They just told me this year we're moving halfway around the lake. I came out for a site walk. I hope I can visualize what 3 pallets full of plywood is going to look like when it's all put up in here. But no. So we needed a piece that could work regardless of the landscape, and Andrew helped us develop that. So after he comes out and grinds and builds nonstop for an entire week, he always makes sure to complete a piece. So I'm so honored to have this band of all of these animals and their instruments bringing that musical, and he calls this technique controlled chaos. So when he's first doing it, you're like, what's this dude doing? You think it's just some splatter painting thing, but it's actually this like amazing intentional flow of these colors and this texture, and then he brings out this like these characters that have so much life, and the fact that they're holding instruments and reminding people of not just art but their love of music, and that it's a team, like it's a whole band. And if he comes up this way, you guys can see his cat. And then if you peek that way, there's Flossie, which is an owl. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years worth of Andrew's murals just right here. And what I did this year with some of my like long-term, oldest contributing members that I already have a huge collection from. As I mentioned, fundraising has been a really interesting thing in this scene because professors love doing stuff like this, but they haven't quite figured out how to fund it properly, and it puts a huge burden on us to try to monetize these opportunities ourselves and to find the funds to support the creators. I could take their small budget, and again, I could have maybe 5 artists that got to come and have the opportunity, and we could pay them appropriately. Or I could find ways to help monetize the opportunity and bring in 30 artists who could create education and ask all of them to contribute in ways that can be documented and valued outside of the scene. So it has taken a tremendous 10 years to get a light on every mural, guys. This is our first year where they were like, you should light them, you know? And it's like, and I come to this not from a place of laughable or even a resentment towards it, because that just is what it is in this kind of scene. So instead of like stressing about it, I've just figured out ways to get around that to make it work. And I'm still bringing this entire offering, you know, without needing that. But my point is that I had Andrew paint a 5x7 canvas, and we've got 8 of us that have a lot of pieces that did that, so we can auction them off this year and be able to help properly fund this program. So that piece there won't live in the Mural Maze, but it will get to go home with somebody that really wants to see this continue. And that's really awesome that those artists said, yeah, I'll come back, I'll paint a piece, I'll split it with your nonprofit, and we'll make it happen for everybody. So, Andrew's really amazing.
Yay.
All right, let's keep it moving. We're almost done. Okay, this is really funny. I want you to stay where you are. Stay where you are. Last night, I walked up on somebody that was standing where you guys are looking at this piece, and she's like deep in thought about what's going on here, right? And I come up and I was like, oh, just like, you know, I'm seeing this turtle, like, there's all this energy, and I don't really know. And then I had her do the walker. So watch you guys.
Oops.
That's gorgeous.
And it showed me so many things in that moment. Number one, art is subjective. We're all taking in these experiences and it means something different to everyone. So as an artist contributing to this collection, you have to let go of like what you think it needs to be because it means something so special and unique to each person. And two, that like get the bigger picture sometimes, y'all, because it's a lot more beautiful than you might imagine. And sometimes it just means stepping off of the problem or the scenario to see that greater view and knowing what truly lies. And like just giving her acceptance of that reality through this piece, and like not knowing in that moment all of the clarity and the meaning that would come through that just situation that I walked up on, you know. And it reminds me of the impact that we are having in this maze. The layout is so conducive to like a piece of each painting being in a vision that creates one solid picture for you in that moment in time. You could step 10 degrees dip to the left or the right, and that whole vision of what that is changes. So it's not even just one piece doing the work, it's all of them as a whole collection being able to be viewed in so many different ways to come in and around that creates like something I could have never explained. The universe has done quite an amazing job of curating this in a way, like I mentioned at the beginning of the tour, the placement of each piece is dependent on where they stay in the pile, where we take them down, and how we pick them up. We can't be toting pieces all the way around just, you know, because we ideally would like to get to make that choice. Instead, I just accept that I'll do my best to place the artist next to their own piece, but whatever happens, happens. And then we'll see, like, the tigers are facing each other in the front. I didn't do that. Like, so you'll be standing there and see the connection between it all, and it only, like, there's no rhyme or reason on my part, but it's so clear and intentional that you're just blown away. You know, that physical evidence of something so powerful coming through here is overwhelming. So this is a solid example of that. And alright, this is a really good corner to be and a great place to wrap around. We'll start here. This piece was done by Stacy in 2015. Stacy's one of my best friends, and she came back every single year, and this walrus became the #1 most known mural maze painting of all time. People come back every year and say, where is the walrus? Like, the impact that this painting has had, how many times it walked up on people, so I don't care what condition it's in, or like she's come back a few years and has touched it up because it's meant that much to people, and it's so cool to see, to feel that energy from so long ago still here touching people in a really important way. So I mentioned before as well, I don't tell the painters what to paint. I want them to feel called to express themselves and their intent. So everybody's got different styles and different messages, but we all have the same intention. We want to educate and inspire people through our art in a way that is beyond art for art's sake. Like, art feels good because it's pretty, and that's great, but this is an opportunity to, in a very confined space, in a condensed, solid period of time, deliver a very direct message that's going to be received in a powerful way. So I take that very seriously. Bands get a very short time to spread their message through their music, and I get all weekend at 15,000 square feet to share my art. And I want every artist that comes here to know how important and valuable this real estate is. It's priceless. And this is an artist that took that very seriously. And some of these messages are coming through abstract and color, and some of them are very direct. And to be able to stand in this place night after night and hear the interpretations of this piece and the impact this artist's message is having on just conversation amongst these attendees, and then back home and they look at these pictures and they reflect, and to see it come back year after year just as powerful and strong it's crazy. I can't even put it into words how proud I am of like the very effective direct delivery in many different forms. This is it's real talk. It's what's going on, you know, and it's scary because we don't have a lot of solutions to that, and we avoid talking about it because it's hard, you know, and it's hard to present it sometimes in a way that doesn't turn people directly away because they're scared or hurt or negatively affected by it. So when I come up on people having like intellectual, like really profound discussions about these topics, coming from a place of resolution and understanding, or even just for the sake of talking about it, it gives me hope for the world. I feel like those show me that people are ready to start addressing the situation in their own ways, and then they're not afraid to talk about it. So when he told me he wanted to paint this, he's like, it's gonna be different than anything you have. I was like, let's run it. We need this, and I'm glad this is so good. Let's move on. Ray Grand is another artist that I'm just beaming to talk about because she brings a style that's totally unique and different to this collection that's needed. A lot of people walk through and they see things like realism and they don't connect with that. It's not an ability like they feel like they're ever going to have, and that they hold themselves back wanting to be creators and artists because it doesn't look like a photograph. And Ray's someone that developed like her own unique style and has brought it to the scene in such an amazing way. She takes her own designs, prints them on fabric, and upcycles clothes. Like goes to thrift shops, finds really cool jackets, and like sews her art on the back. So in our gallery, she has a full collection of clothing that she's upcycled with her art. She's like, the first year she did one of the 8x4 triangles, just one side. And again, she's like, I never painted a mural. I only did the small canvases. So I gave her that one panel. And then the next year she came back, she's like, I'm ready to do my own piece. And then this year I was like, I've got a fresh wall for you. And the fact that she was willing to grow with the program and keep pushing herself year after year, and did this beautiful collection of like Hulaween and where like all the cars coming in, and each one of the like things was intentionally picked to someone she knows. This is someone's vehicle that's at this festival right now, you know. And we're capturing these memories in these images that I'm so proud to say we are preserving for a lifetime this year. I hired the best videographer content who's around here somewhere for me that I've ever been able to afford, and I know that that's going to yield prints of every piece here and a way for us all to document. Like, I want to see this piece forever, even after it can't be here anymore, and we're finally in the position to do that. So, thank you, guys. All right, keep it moving. I'll just touch briefly on some of these pieces. This is Seth McMahon, someone I know from the Denver area, super well-known artist. I never thought we'd be able to get Seth out here, but someone told me he was interested last year, so I messaged him on Instagram and was like, hey, is it true that like you might want to come out to the mural maze? And I was like, I don't really have a lot to offer you. I could give you a spot in our gallery, we could sell some of your stuff, and I could maybe help you with your plane ticket. So he decided he's gonna come.
Is he here this year?
He couldn't come back this year, but he sends me his flight info. I think he's coming into Jacksonville. I send my people over there to go get him, and he calls me, and he's in Fort Lauderdale. He's flown all the way to the south, ends up taking a Greyhound all the way here from Miami, gets here a day late, only had 2 days to paint his mural, busts out this masterpiece in record time. And again, like, that willingness to bring your professionalism no matter what the circumstances are, and to have cared enough without compensation to want to contribute something like this, I owe it to these people to be doing this tour, to telling this story, to be getting these prints, to be fighting for these lights, because I know what it took for this mural to exist, you know, and it took an incredible amount of time and energy that these festival people have not quantified, you know, they don't get it. So, thank you. All right, we're moving on. Like moving on to the more emotional ones, like it's a little intense. In 2020, events were canceled, and I was a professional live painter touring with bands, so my career had pretty much come to a stop at that point. So I started developing, like taking all my experiences from touring over the years, making online classes and producing Zoom classes where people could come, and then I record them, and I created this whole library of education around mural painting, art business, like how to establish yourself as a professional creative. And it's something I had always wanted to do, but if I wasn't trapped at home from COVID, I would have never been able to get it done. So that was the biggest blessing to me, was to take the time to buckle down to produce that content. And that's also helped me leverage that existing library for my nonprofit that I incorporated this year. To say we've actually already been doing this, creating free things for artists to support them, and now we need to leverage that for future funding. So these are artists that I've met through those programs online. Another artist friend of mine during COVID created a 24-hour Zoom call with artists from around the world. It was an open studio where any time of day we could log in, and there were artists on Zoom with their cameras on their easel, and we just painted together. And Lacey's one of those. So we had never met in person and painted almost every day together online for 2 years. So through that little screen, Lacey had started a fresh canvas one day, and by the end of our session, had this beautiful painting, and I was like, hey, when events come back, I do this thing called the Mural Maze, where you have to paint a mural in 3 days, and she was amazing for it. So to stand here with them in person and see like the dedication I could see over the internet that I didn't need to be at an in-person event to realize. I saw that creative drive that she had. So they came out here with their other friend Harrison, who I didn't know them as an artist, but at the last festival I made an all call, like, hey, I'm doing an artist panel. If any artist feels called to share, then show up. And this artist came, did a whole speech, so passionate about sharing their craft with another creator that, again, that's how this opportunity was made available to them, because I see the drive to pass it on. So they collaborated on this piece in 3 days. Like, look at what's going on here with this story, and like, really take a second, the little images, and to watch people get stuck in here, because you could walk past and be like, oh, beautiful landscape, awesome, but then you see a ship coming through, right? Then you see this whole city, and you think about that little tiny brush that Harrison had in their hand as they, for hours out here before this festival started, rendered these images. Like, this is intense. We all put, like, a lot of these are spray paint, which is awesome, and that's like a big push of this image is rendered quickly with spray in a paint can, but to be in there with a millimeter brush, you know, it's insane. It blows my mind. I couldn't even have the patience myself to do that. I know what it took to get here with this piece, and I'm blown away. Yeah. Let's walk around the outside. Got away from the plastic, but it's still one of the fastest painters we've ever known. I just did a huge corporate project this year, painting $1 billion building, and I hired Efren to come out because I knew his skill level would get it done, and he was like, just has helped me advance as an artist by being someone I can call upon at any time to do it right and to care enough about the execution of it. So he hit me with this idea. He said, Ania, they've never let me do a live spray painting thing in Spirit Lake because it's too dangerous with millions of dollars of installations around, and they don't think it can be done right. We think we could show them. And I was like, absolutely, we can show them. So there were about 50 people out here yesterday that all contributed a mark to this wall, and he taught them about hand control, and he showed them how to make lines on the wall, and everybody contributed. And then he came back and he painted the piece right on top in just a few hours, and beneath that you can see all of the different contributions still. He didn't just cover the piece, he left their marks on that. This is the largest festival collab that has ever happened here in Suwannee with every single person here. And for every moment that all 50 or 100 people sat present with him in that moment and tried a craft they would have never gotten to do and saw like their own contribution to this space, like how can you recreate that? There's no experience like that, you know? So to help facilitate it, to find the materials to build this wall. So synchronistic. I didn't want to paint it on the wall because, again, I've got so many walls that I can't do anything with, that I need to start finding other ways for us to capture these images and take them to new homes. And a lot of people don't necessarily want a big 16-foot wall. So we were like, we could get a sheet, or we could go get something, and we'll stretch it, we'll prime it. And the next thing you know, a random roll of canvas that I didn't even know like was actually going to come showed up in corporate or compound, and they're calling me on the radio like, hey, your canvas is here, right before his thing starts. Then we get it stretched and he gets it done, and now this piece can be sold or auctioned or get donated to charity or anything through our foundation in a way that can help other people. And I really feel like the experience that we had here, that can be felt, and then to watch everybody come and sit with the piece last night, not even, they didn't know how it was created. They didn't need to know. We felt it, and it's really powerful. Oh my God! Let's go! Let's go! Mural. Like, you do it all, and you're constantly inspiring us. Alright, so if you're interested in buying this piece, it will support our friend and our project, just throwing that out there. Keep it moving.
Dude, I just like saw. I was trying to go faster, and I went the longest possible way. It's crazy. It's 4 o'clock, and I'm thinking 28,000 steps.
More buttery I get, the more lobster. Right when that swell is just right.
I think it was 2017. I went to Okeechobee Music Festival and I painted a triangle. And on each side of the triangle was a woman that one of them was thinking, one of them was feeling, and one of them was speaking. And I did the kind of vortex thing behind each of their heads with all the positive affirmations. And then I watched thousands of people walk up to each piece and start reading the words. And I saw their facial expressions change, and I saw their energy shift, and then I saw that energy shift in the immediate area, and I saw them take that back to camp, and I was completely blown away by the power of this direct message. Again, all of these artists are expressing themselves in some kind of way with the same intent, but not everybody can get there easily. They may be way far from here, and the images may help distract them for a little bit, but like a ping pong ball, their mind jumps right back to where they were. So I wanted something really strong to help you ground in, to help you read each word and practice those feelings, and then allow that to unfold throughout the weekend. Keep coming back to it. Keep seeing that direct connection between what you're focusing on and what's happening in your physical reality. And I've been so blessed and humbled, and it's the most fulfilling thing out of everything I've shared with you today is to watch the impact these deliberate creation murals have had on this community. So in creating all these little ones, I was like, I want to make a big one. And I want it to have its own space and its own sign, and maybe it could have multiple. And in setting that intent, we made some designs of what this bigger piece might look like, and my builder Kevin called me and said, Ania, I have the ability to get this trust that I think might be perfect for what you want to do with your deliberate creation mural. And we raised some funds. Kevin got the trust. Earlier this year, it debuted for its very first time at Resonate here at Suwannee Music Park. After that, it went to Soul Fest in Georgia. It went to Secret Dreams in Ohio. It traveled all the way to Burning Man in Black Rock City, and now it's returned to us here at Suwannee. And like, this is my passion, core passion, is to help people align themselves vibrationally with where they want to be physically, and to be able to do that through large-scale art in an immersive way that, again, helps them ground into that moment, helps practice those feelings of those emotions and get them closer to that space, even in the slightest, most subtle way. You might not even know what's happening. You could walk by, a light flashes on clarity, and in the moment you're clear. In that moment of turning off all of the other vibrations that are happening and being present is shifting that energy for me that touches you, and this is the filter of the music festival. There's a lot of energies happening here. It gets real scary out in the campgrounds where people are alone and stuck in these cycles that they can't get out of. But if they make their way through here and they spend just a few minutes here, that release of the resistance could yield so much more clarity for their own journey than I could ever expect to be a part of. So to see that impact, it's like, it's changed my life. It's changed people's lives here. They message me and they tell me how they were in a terrible place and they stopped for a minute, and like how it changed their whole festival experience, you know? So I'm just so humbled. It's so beautiful. And that concludes our moment.